the show yet? Yes, we are.
Yes. Hello everybody. Welcome to Say Report Jr. Hey y'all. What's up?
You restarted your sentence. I thought you were gonna go into the tagline.
I know. I threw you for a loop. It felt too safe. It felt too clean. I was also
That
about
felt clean to you.
yeah.
A lot
dude.
about says a lot about the openings of our shows that was too clean of a
It was-
take for you.
Yeah, I was going too quick into the introduction. I don't know. It felt weird. It felt off brand. But this is Say Report Jr. I also was gonna sing Old Town Road, and then I forgot how it went.
I was gonna say for a song I listen to way too often, I can do like the opening chorus. That's it.
I know. Gonna take my horse to the Old Town Road. I'm
That's
gonna
it. That's
ride till
I
I
know.
can't no more. I'm gonna take my horse to the Old Town Road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more.
What's great about that is that in the original version
Ain't
of that
nobody
song,
tell me
that
nothing.
launches into Little Nas X talking about how he's gonna go ride his horse out on like a pasture in the same way that like any rapper would talk about getting in like a nice car,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Which is great. And then you get to the remix, and that's Billy Ray Cyrus's like whole verse is about being in a Maserati
Oh
with a
my
chick
god.
and
I
like
guess
buying,
I guess I
taking
haven't.
her shopping.
Oh my god, I haven't listened to like the original and the remix close enough to like catch those differences. So thank you for doing that for me, Zach.
I did the research for
This
all
is
of your latest hip hop news.
from Zach
That's your
Sarah.
come to the cold opening of Say Report Jr.
Say Report Jr., a podcast you should be listening to, subscribe to, and downloading every single week. I've already said Zach's name.
So I'll say Dale's name. Hi, Dale.
I said your last name.
Hi, Dale Decker. That sounds weird.
Does it sound weird saying my full name?
It sounds weird that way, and I almost said Miss Decker, which sounds even
Oh,
weirder.
jeez. Wow, okay. Well,
That's
then.
getting like full. That's getting full like Southwest like politeness that I used to live with.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, we're not polite up here.
Well,
Well,
ish.
sometimes. Sometimes we are. We can be.
Dale, the plane is missing. I need to tell you
Wait,
something.
wait, what? Oh, the Patriots
The,
plane?
the plane is missing.
Oh, my God.
I don't know what they're doing this week, but all of a sudden, I went to go drive people to the airport, and I didn't have my one conversation started.
Oh, God. That's scary.
So instead, the conversations become, "Oh, that's weird. The Patriots plane isn't there."
So you still have a conversation starter. It's like the Patriots plane is always your conversation starter, whether it's there or not. You have a gift, Zach.
And I refuse to use it because I don't know enough about sports.
That's
Some
fine.
The other
You just
day,
need to
someone said,
pretend.
"Don't they have two?" And I didn't know if that was a correct response or not. I didn't know what the right answer was to "Don't they have two planes?"
So you just say, I don't know. I just
That's
drive
exactly
this
what I
van.
said. I said, "I don't know. They got this one over here, and that's the one I see every day." I don't.
Yeah, I just drive this van, and look at it. I don't know the comings and goings. I don't know the logistics of the Patriots.
Clearly, I don't know their schedule because I didn't know their plane would be missing this week. So, what are they doing?
I don't.
It's not. Is there spring training for football?
Well,
Why did I ask you this question?
Whoa! I know stuff about sports. I don't. Yeah, there is. I just don't know if it's
I
specifically
mean, I know there's like
called spring training.
right. There's oh God, what's the special word? I almost said scrimmage. It's not scrimmage. It's another one. I only know this
gonna let
because I
you-
played Madden once on N64.
I'm
What
gonna
is it
let-
called?
No,
Exhibition game? No. Yes?
I mean that's a thing. Yeah.
But is that the one where they play like 2 or 3 games before a season starts?
I think
That's
so.
not actually part of the thing, the win-loss record and all that.
I don't know. I will say I don't pay as much attention to football as I do baseball or whatnot. But yeah.
I do know that the Red Sox played 4.5 hours late the other day because someone left Nesson on at work. So So I got to watch them look at a field for 4 hours in the rain in Detroit.
That's incredible. That's some of my favorite baseball television because it's just them talking and watching the field get just wet.
It was so great because like a channel like Nessun has filler content for that. So it's like every 15 minutes they'd come back to the field and be like, "Nope, the tarp is still on the field and there's still rain coming down. Look at these fans who are still in the stands. Look at these fans. These are the true fans staying here for this. Now let's go to a 15-minute documentary about Mookie Betts."
Hey,
Like goes away.
Don't be talking shit about my Mookie.
No, I'm not talking shit about it. I just love that they
No,
they have on hand a Mookie documentary
Well,
for 15 minutes of filler.
They should, because Mookie Betts is the greatest.
Did I get his name right, by the way?
What?
I wasn't sure about the last name. I knew Mookie, and I was like, it is Betts, right?
This is incredible. Thank
Oh
you.
my god! I was like I said that so confidently. I was like, I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna say it, and I'm
I
either
was
gonna have.
surprised. I'm not
gonna-
gonna lie.
I was like, I'm either gonna have to deal with the fact that I said the name wrong, or she's not gonna say anything, and we're gonna move on.
I mean, you should understand something about me, Zach. I fucking love Mookie Betts. So if it was wrong, the rest of our you would
The
have
rest
known.
of this episode would have been say his name.
Yeah, it would have been me teaching you his name and like making sure you committed it to memory.
Oh, that's
I would be the
wonderful.
freaking Axel in this episode.
Get it memorized, people.
Memorized. Yeah, no,
Oh.
I love Mookie Betts so much.
That made me Kyrie. Anyway,
I don't know. Would it make you Kyrie, or would it make you
Nominee.
what? Nominee, or
Maybe.
or the V one?
Vexen,
No, who's the other one? Who's
Vanitas,
Vanitas? The one
different group.
No,
That's-
the other one they're eating ice cream with.
Roxas.
Roxas. Yeah.
How did we go from? How did we make that leap? Anyway, God.
Because I said get it because I said I would make you memorize it.
Clearly, see. By the way, everyone, can you tell that this is the episode where Dale's a little tired?
Well, I don't know what you're talking about. I did not fall asleep playing Pokemon Let's Go Eevee last night. when I
man.
came home.
Did you fall asleep? Did you lose your Nuzlocke because it tried to automatically
No.
fight for you?
I think okay, so derailment more, why the fuck not? So Devin, I got home, I went out for dinner and drinks and whatnot last night, and I got home and Devin and Cedra were recording. Fine, cool. So I was like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm kinda tired, and I'm gonna play my Nuzlocke. Why not? Let's see how far I can get. Forgot I was on the SSN. And forgot what rooms I had gone into. So I'm like, this is either gonna be super boring for me because I've already entered all these rooms, or I'm about to have to do a shit ton of battles.
I'm either gonna poke my head in here and it's that one random room that's basically a Pokemon Center, or I'm gonna die.
Mhm.
One of those two things is gonna happen.
But a third thing happened, and that was as I was playing, I kept nodding off during battles. Won every single battle, but like was terrified that I would close my eyes and open them and my Pokemon would be dead. And I think that's really what fueled me to stay awake for a couple more minutes.
You found a new layer of video gaming.
I don't. It was terrifying. It was like, cause I would sleep and I'm like, wait, Dale, my inner monologue would be like, Dale, you were just in a battle. You need to wake the fuck up. And then I'd like jolt myself awake.
The little Bulbasaur angel on your shoulder would just come in and just start smacking you like, get up.
Yeah. It's like, what is wrong with you? And then I like went into a battle with a kid, cause you fight children in that game who are definitely younger than 10 and yet are on adventures with Pokemon.
I mean, half of them are preschool or whatever. I'm
Yeah.
pretty certain Shorts Boy is preschooler
yeah,
Joey.
Yeah.
Someone look
But-
that up, and if I'm right, I'm gonna scream. But I'm pretty certain
I mean-
preschooler Joey is I love shorts. They're breezy and easy to wear.
But yeah, so I definitely got into a fight with that, and then like I fell asleep, and then I could feel myself asleep. I beat him, and then I was like, all right, I'm just gonna stand here for a little bit and see if I fall asleep by just standing here. And then I definitely did. And Devin, I heard Devin walk up the stairs and open the door, and I just like jolted awake again. And he was like, were you just asleep?" I'm like, "Yeah. None of my Pokemon died though.
I like this
I'm great
idea.
at Nuzlocke."
I like this idea that you are somehow that like data you needed to diagnose your body and be like, let me just see if this is what happens because I can't just tell that I'm tired. I need to scientifically figure out if
Well,
I'm sleepy.
well, I had to like. It was fucked up. My head was all kinds of fucked up last night because it's like
Your brain compensated for your tiredness by going
yes,
into like a weird developer mode.
yeah, it was so weird. It was like, all right, Dale, if you enter another battle, you could fall asleep during the battle and get one of your Pokemon killed because you might just inadvertently keep pressing the A button and never know.
Because you'll conk out and your muscle memory will take over.
Exactly. Because that happens. Whatever. You're in REM, not
Yep.
REM. Yeah.
REM. REM.
You're in REM
Yes,
sleep
REM
and you
sleep.
start twitching, right? Because that happens. And
Sometimes it's the end of the world as you know it, and shiny
yes,
happy people walk in. I've been listening to a lot of
exactly.
shiny happy people. It plays at work all the time. It's
With
bad.
with my
Anyway,
with my shiny Pokemon. I actually like that song. It's
it's a
weird.
fine enough song, just not 5 times a
Yeah,
day.
no, I get that. But yeah, so that's what it was. It was like, all right, we're gonna take a break because we're in a Nuzlocke because for some reason we thought that was smart. All right, we're gonna take a break. If you fall asleep in this break, you're fine. You're in the clear. But if you don't, then we could keep playing for a little bit, and you might be
I,
fine. And then I just was done.
why are you negotiating with your brain about how long you should play Pokemon? The game's
Well,
gonna be
it
there
was also
tomorrow, Dale.
it was also like I was trying to stay awake to like talk to Devin. So cuz I needed to talk to him about stuff. So I was like I need to stay awake. Devin and CJ should be almost done recording. Right? Like they should be almost done. And then I was wrong. So I'm like, well, Pokemon will keep me occupied. But I was also wrong about that. It's a good thing I didn't play Hob. Because I would have missed everything. I
Just the image in my head that you've given me.
like there's also a part of me where it's like if I fall asleep right now, Devin could come up these stairs and take a picture of me because that has happened before. And I don't need no pictures of me sleeping with Joy Cons. I don't
Ooh,
need
now
that.
you're a robot.
Am I a robot?
Now
Uh,
you're a robot. Nope, you're back. You're not a
okay,
robot.
there we go. Hopefully, I'm not a robot on the episode, but I mean, yeah,
That makes about as much sense as anything else we've said today.
yeah. I was gonna. Nope, never mind. How are you, Zach?
I'm good.
That's good.
I drove the wrong people to the hotel today.
Wait, how? Hold on. No.
so, 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 I learned one of the big problems with corporate monopolies today is that sometimes people get confused about which hotels they're staying in because all of your hotels have the same name now.
Well, yeah. Okay, fair.
So, drop off airline crew. So the way that if anybody here listening doesn't know how TF Green Airport is set up, which is probably too much geographic knowledge to know where I work now, but anyway, the way that TF Green Airport is set up is you enter the TF Green entrance and you have a split between departures and arrivals. I had to drop someone off, I had to drop off an airline crew, so I went to departures. And when you drive to departures, when you then come down and have to come back to the street that my hotel is on, where the entrance to the airport is, you have to then go through arrivals to do that. It makes you in a big spiral.
Okay.
So come down for departures, come down around the corner, come down to arrivals. The arrivals like lane, road, whatever, is split into three lanes. So there's like the actual lane where you pull off to the side and pick
Mhm.
people up, and then a couple of lanes for cars to keep moving, to keep traffic flowing. Sure. Because again, they're cycling everybody from departures down into the arrivals area, so they need to have like space for cars that clearly don't need to stop to keep going. So I'm in the farthest lane from the actual sidewalk where people are getting picked up. And as I'm driving by, I just see these two guys just start waving their hands and their
Oh
bags
jeez.
around,
Oh
flagging
jeez.
me down. I take a quick glance at my phone, not like at my phone. I don't like take my eyes off the road. I've stopped in
That's
fact
good.
stopped at this point because people are flagging me down. But I
Mhm.
took a quick look at my phone. I don't have any missed calls, so it's not like the hotel has called me to say, "Hey,
Pick these
also
people
pick
up.
people up while
Yeah.
you're also out there." So I now take my giant van. Luckily, there's no one else in the arrivals area at the time when I do this, and I very quickly just kind of diagonal cut
Oh god.
right across to the sidewalk. So I'm now across like a lane and a half with
Oh
like
my
my
god.
nose up near the sidewalk and the ass end of this van out in like that first lane that isn't the pickup lane.
Jesus.
Because customer service, I wanted to let these guys know I saw them and that I felt bad. And the way that I portrayed that I felt bad was did a dumbass traffic thing to be like, oh, hold on. Hi,
I'm here. I
I'm
promise.
here.
I'm here.
So I get out. I'm like, did you call the front desk by any chance? They're like, oh, yeah, we called somebody. I was like, oh, weird. They didn't call me. That doesn't matter. Let me get your bags in, get you in. Cool.
Oh
This
god.
has nothing to do with the rest of the story. I just want to drag a jerk from New Jersey. As I'm putting these guys in the van and getting their stuff together, this like car the plate was from New Jersey.
Uh
Could have been
huh.
a rental car because all of the rental cars at this point have, especially at the airport, have all sorts of different
Yep.
states on them for
Yeah.
however. Who knows? And people who do like Lyft and Uber for a living,
Mhm.
apparently like one of the tactics is you rent a car for the day so you don't have to use your own car, and then you pay the $20 to have it for the day, but then make $100 so it doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yep.
So this car with a New Jersey license plate decides it's going to pull up on the sidewalk, but like put its nose as close to the nose of like
Oh
my
my
van in
god.
that like triangle wedge I've made
Oh my god.
now, like just pull right up in there
Jesus.
and then give me a look. Like he couldn't see that the van was in this predicament when he pulled up. Like you knew what you were getting into when you pulled into this Times Square shaped ironworks like just whole thing I've created for you. So then I get
Oh
these two
my
guys in the
god.
van, and as I start to back up, like literally, like the second that the nose is out of this lane, this car just like jerks forward and just goes through the space that I've made. And I was like, dude, 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Oh my god.
people from New Jersey, whether you're from New Jersey or just your plates are from New Jersey, you're just as bad as Massachusetts drivers. Anyway, I drive these guys. Guys are in the van. We're talking. I forget what they're talking about. Somehow, I don't know what they're talking about when they got in the car, but by the time we got to the hotel, they had somehow gotten to Cloud City and Leno Calrissian. I don't know what this conversation was, but it was awesome.
Okay.
But they, but I pull into the driveway. The second I come around the corner and start coming up to the hotel, I hear one of them go, "Oh wait, this isn't where we're staying."
Oh shit.
And I'm like, and like immediately, like my brain goes back to, oh, I didn't get a phone call for these guys. They're flagging me down from three
Yeah.
lanes away, and all of it's coming together of just, oh, they saw the wrong fucking van.
Yep.
They saw the wrong van.
Oh god. So what do you do in did you drive them to the
So
right hotel? Did you drive them
I would
back?
have I would have if it was within 3 miles. Unfortunately, it was not.
Oh, okay. All right.
But I get to the van. I get to the hotel. They say what's happening. They say the hotel that they're staying at. So I was like, let me just. I need to run inside for a second and let them know that
Mhm.
I've got to bring you at least back to the airport.
Yeah.
Make sure there's nothing else going on. I go in there. I look right at the girl at the front desk. I'm like, so these two idiots just got in my van. She's like, they're not coming here, are they? I said, no. She's like, yeah, okay. What hotel are they at? I told her. She's like, that might be close by. Just have them look it up, and if it's within 3 miles, might as well just drive them there.
Yeah.
Because it was another hotel set. Like we are, we are the okay. And I'm just gonna say it, so please don't
You
hunt
don't
me down.
have to.
We are we are the so and so hotel by larger hotel company.
Yeah, there you go. That
So
works.
and where they're staying is so and so hotel by larger hotel company because everything that the hotel company now owns has to say by them
Mhm.
after the freaking title,
Mhm.
which is why they got confused.
Yeah.
So they're like 10 miles away and I can't go that far. So I'm like, you know what? We'll get you back to the arrivals thing. We'll figure it out. And of course, when I get back, their freaking van is sitting right there in front of us.
Also diagonally across
No,
and nah.
he was just parked there, like clearly looking for them because that happens sometimes where you park down there and then for 20 minutes you're wandering around trying to figure out where these people are.
Yeah.
Not so much since we got the better van back and you can see from like a mile away what hotel we're at. But
Mhm.
this guy had like a white van, kind of the setup I used to have, where it's just like a white van with the name of the hotel printed on the side. So
Yeah.
like people just don't know that your van is there. But yeah, so that was like 30 minutes out of my day
Oh
to go
gosh.
of being 5 minutes away from the airport to figure out where the hell these two guys were going.
That's hilarious. That's great. That
Oh
would make my day,
man. It was like, you
honestly.
know what? It was 2 o'clock. I was leaving at 3. I needed to kill half an hour. That worked
Yeah.
for
Exactly.
me.
I have definitely learned that like time moves quick in certain scenarios, and it's like that was a sentence I just said. Okay, there are times where there are moments where time moves really really weird, but it moves quick because you're doing something weird.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
And like funny. Like it's like, oh,
I mean, I was thinking, so like we're driving back to the airport, and at this point, like I already had to tell these guys I couldn't drive them to their hotel. They had already called the van driver they called originally to tell them that I might be able to drive them there. So then they had to call him back and tell him, no, never mind, you do in fact have to pick us up. So that guy probably turned around 3 times.
yeah.
And so we're pulling out of the we're pulling out of the hotel, and here's the biggest problem is that our hotel driveway is like not quite sandwiched between two lights, but the problem is I have two lights and two intersections just just close and just far enough away and also not timed to each other that I could sit there for like 5 minutes waiting for like this green light went. And just as that turned into a red light and that side of the road cleared, this green light went, and now this side of the road is full. And I have to get across like 3 lanes of traffic to make a left-hand turn out of my friggin' hotel.
Yeah.
So I could sit there for a while. And of course I had to because I don't know, I did something to karma this morning, apparently. So, but it's dead silent. It's dead silent the whole time now. Not talking about Lando or Cloud City anymore. But finally get out of the driveway. We're going down the street. We're coming up to the turn to go back into the airport, and one of them just starts laughing.
Yeah.
And like all of a sudden, all three of us are just cracking up.
See,
Just like
that's
cannot
incredible.
believe it because it was just like you know what, man. Like it was ultimately it's not like they tried to check in and figure out this problem.
Yeah.
They knew it the second we pulled into the hotel. So like this whole thing was done in 20 minutes
Exactly.
ultimately. It took me 10 minutes to get over there and pick them up the first time. So like it's not like this was like it's not like we wasted 8 hours of this. It's just
No.
like we turn around, they start laughing, and one of them turns to the other is like, "Man, we've been going for like 14 hours. How is this our day?"
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. That's incredible. Ugh.
Oh
Yeah.
man,
Yeah, I was trying to say something really like stoic, not stoic, important about time, and it came out in just a jumble of words.
that happens.
Time is cool.
Remember last week when I said we should steal candy from a child? So I
Yeah.
mean, really,
We
I
said
understand.
we said we would steal ice cream. I feel like that's worse.
From our own from our own partner,
Yeah, I
like our
know.
own partner's baby,
I
we would
know.
steal ice cream from.
Callbacks.
Oh
Oh man.
man,
Don't do that. We can't be speaking in unison now.
don't tell me what to do. I'll figure out some way to know what you're gonna say and then say it together. And then have
Oh
that creepy
no.
moment like that Doctor Who episode
Uh,
where I start saying what you're gonna say before you.
no. No, no,
Yeah.
no.
Midnight's a
Let's
good episode of Doctor Who, everybody. Y'all should find that episode. David Tennant, it's great.
Oh Jesus. Yeah. So I mean, that sounds great. That
So
sounds like a
that
great
was
way.
like my work day today. That's not
Yeah.
even like my whole
That was
week.
today. Oh my
That was
God.
just this
That's
morning.
great.
The other thing that came up just very quickly, because I don't have a lot to say about these yet, because I'm not like far in, but I have played a couple of video games.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna actually bring new video games to the table, everybody.
Whoa. I need.
Um,
Yeah. I need to start playing Hob again.
the first one is, do you remember Sea of Solitude? That game
Yeah.
we saw the trailer for
Yes.
in our first E3 episode
Yep.
ever. Yeah, so that finally came out.
Yep. Yeah. I remember you telling me.
It's $20, not bad.
Okay.
It's reviews are all over the place because that's what happens with like big indie stuff, I think. But I mean, I've played maybe an hour of it, but I
Mm.
really like it so far. It's still just as gorgeous as the trailers had.
Yeah.
It's just as on the nose. I mean, it opens up just like with this big screen kind of list thing with like a whole paragraph written by the woman that we saw on stage that I do not remember her name, and it's Scandinavian in nature,
Mhm.
so I'm not even going to pretend to know how to say it.
Yeah.
But the whole game is about not only dealing with things like depression and anxiety and mental illness and all of that, but also being a part of like a family or a friend to someone that has
Yeah.
depression, anxiety, and all that, and like both the feeling of you want to help that person and also the feeling of there's sometimes you just like
You can't.
you're not even that you can't, but like
Oh.
your first instinct of this is what I'm going to do to make you feel better because I'm going to make you feel better. That's sometimes the wrong instinct to go with when
Mm.
helping someone with anxiety and depression, and how that affects that can just make things worse sometimes and all that stuff. So, so far, the most I have done is like I dealt with a giant crab monster that was yelling at me for being so, hard to deal with and anxiety ridden. So that
Yeah.
was, but I mean, I'm waiting to see where it goes. It's probably not supposed to be a very long game, so I'm not. I mean, I'm not far into it, but I don't think I'm far from the end of it either.
Mhm.
So I don't know. When I finish it, I'll probably have more to say to that. But I'm just happy it's out. It came out like uh, Fourth of July weekend, so
Oh,
it's not
okay.
like super. Like I'm hoping people actually like find it and buy it,
Yeah.
because I'm hoping it doesn't get drowned out by just the holiday, which was definitely dominated by Mario Maker coming out.
Oh,
Uh,
definitely. Yeah.
but the other game that came out is The Sinking City, also finally came out, which is the other Cthulhu game to come out.
Mhm.
The one that had more care put into it, and yet I think so. Call of Cthulhu came out this
Yeah.
year, which is the title, which shares a title with the tabletop role-playing game Call of Cthulhu, and that's about it. Otherwise, it's a pretty straightforward, like first-person perspective, like narrative story
Yeah.
that has some upgrading stuff to it and all that, and there is like some detective stuff that goes on. But you are playing a specific character going through a specific story. You're doing kind of the same thing in Sinking City, but it's a lot more open.
Okay.
So you're playing the private detective Charles Reed, who he's a like Navy World War I vet who's like plagued by these visions, these like schizophrenic visions of like being in the ocean and something coming for him, and he's kind of going mad. And so he gets word about this town, Oakmont in Massachusetts, where all these people are having these same visions. So he goes to just kind of check it out.
Mm.
But they've incorporated so many things directly from H.P. Lovecraft's stories. So not just the role playing game that came out, but like actual story stuff going
Oh,
on.
okay.
So like one of the ruling classes in this town is the guy's name is Throgmorton, which I think is from the actual story. I forget. I don't know any of these stories. I apologize.
Yeah, I don't
Uh,
know.
I'm a terrible Providence adjacent citizen in that I know
Yeah.
very little about H.P. Lovecraft,
Yeah, so do
but
I.
like they're a family that is like half ape.
Oh, okay.
So like definitely like so the problem is, and it says right up front, H.P. Lovecraft kind of a horrid racist, and that's definitely a thing that they are dealing with in this game, and that's definitely those were themes that came through, like even for the time. Like
Mm.
this isn't even just like, oh, it was the 1920s. It was in the 1920s. People looked at him and went, oh, that guy's really fucking racist.
Yeah. Oof.
So so
Jeez.
like this like family, like this thing that the family that this like creature, this like monkey human hybrid is based on was definitely like a, oh dear God, what if black people got money kind of hard, like racist
Jesus.
fear that he had. And in the game, they're like, well, okay, so yes, we're going to use these creatures, but we're not going to play in the same horrible stereotypes that he played in. And in fact, like they're the ones that are kind of super racist to the fish people that live in this town that just came in. And so you've got humans and you've got fish people and you got monkey people in this town, and there's like weird kind of interplay with them. But then also half the town has been, you know, unsurprisingly, sunk into the
Sinking. Yeah.
ocean from different like various earthquakes and disasters. So like half the town you have to get around on boat, but it's like a rickety little motorboat. For anybody out there who saw Us, I don't think, did you, Dale? Did you see Us? Did
No.
we talk about that? No,
No.
I didn't think so. Um, there's a scene in a very good scene in Us where Winston Duke has is showing off this boat he just bought, but it's
Mm.
like a crappy little dinghy with a motor that he has to like punch to get working.
Nice.
It's very
Oh yeah,
good.
that's in the trailer. I've seen. I
Yeah,
saw that. Yeah.
yeah. So that's the kind of thing that you're like going around town in.
Okay.
But also like you're going around like floating furniture in barrels in buildings that have collapsed into the ocean
Yeah.
around you. And you're doing so you're the main investigation is that this guy, yeah, this monkey man, Throgmartin has hired you to basically figure out what happened to his son because his son went off on this expedition with these people, and when they all came back, they were all nuts. They went off to the ocean, and when they came back, they were all crazy and murderous. And so you're just basically kind of tracking down what happened there, and then you go around town also trying to figure out why all these people are having these weird visions of monsters coming out of the ocean and stuff like that. Um, so it's very, you know, noirish
Yeah.
and like exploratory, which is cool. It's a little slow at times, but you know, I'm still waiting to see kind of what the story does because
Yeah.
I'm like in that early phase where like I'm still kind of in those like early main mission things that are supposed to be tutorials, but they've also started giving me side missions, and I'm just keep getting distracted by the side stuff
Yeah.
that I haven't done. The
Any
main
any of this stuff.
because you get like guns and stuff in this game. Like you start off the game with two little handguns, and I keep going like, when do I get a bigger gun? Because there's no part of the things with this town is that there's no merchants. It's not like you can't just go up to someone and be like, "Hey, I did a bunch of side missions and collected a bunch of money. Give me all the guns now." Instead, it's like they everything is because of what's happened to the town and the sinking and all of that. Everything is now on a barter system. So like you have to do certain story missions to get
To get
better
stuff.
guns in
Yeah.
return, and like you get handed like scrap to make bullets and stuff like that. But even doing the side missions, it's not like you're building up like a huge hoarding collection of money or anything.
Hmm.
So um
Interesting.
yeah, it's structured very weird. So I'm still working my way through it. It
Yeah.
definitely is like it is trying to not hold your hand about what to do, but in doing so, I'm getting a little lost.
Yeah.
So like it's got these like interesting systems of like every time you get like a new side mission or even in the main mission, it's like here are your, you know, starting leads. And instead of populating your map with those, they actually make you do it basically. So it's here's your map of the town and here's your clues. And one of those clues is, oh, you have to go to so and so warehouse. And so what it'll tell you is so and so warehouse is in this district of the town in the northern part of this district in the town between these two streets.
Mm.
So go on your map and find that area and then just kind of put a pin in that spot and then go find it.
Huh.
Um,
Yeah, that's this sounds like one that I would watch people play.
right, right. So people
Not for
yeah,
me
rather
to
than like,
play.
rather than wander around and try and find it yourself. Because the other thing is that every now and then you just walk into a building and it's infested with monsters that are too strong for you to kill because you haven't gotten the better gun yet. So that's
Yeah.
happened. Yeah. So I'm working
Interesting.
my way through it.
Cool.
But I do like I kind of like that structure because I
Yeah.
play so many open world games where it's just like here's 80,000 things to check off,
Mhm.
go do them.
Mhm.
That anything that kind of changes that up is
It's
interesting
cool to
enough to
you.
me for a
Yeah.
little while.
I mean, that's
Um,
good. It's good that it's a genre that you know, but people are still able to mix it up. Like
yeah,
that's the coolest thing about it is that yeah, no, there aren't you know how people say there aren't like original ideas or anything anymore, and there are like
It's all
seven.
variations on these same
Yeah,
things.
it's like
Yes.
the variations on these. So that's the same with video games and whatnot. It's a there's open world, there's RPG, all of that, and there are so many ways you can do an open world. But when someone does it differently, that's what you're gonna gravitate towards. And that, I mean, it's cool that people
Yeah.
are able to do that still.
They they also sort of brought one of the things like there's a so the company that made this is called Frogware,
Uh huh.
and they're most famous for making a bunch of Sherlock Holmes games,
Yeah.
like that are extremely 50-50. Some of them are good and some of them are terrible. But one of the ones that and I've only ever seen this like previewed and I've never played it and I've always wanted to see exactly how it works. But there's
Mhm.
one where I think it was just after like Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch got big, so they were trying to really play on the whole like mind palace
Mm.
craziness going
Mhm.
on. The hey, what if we just made you connect things by looking around in weird directions? Um, so one of those Sherlock games, you would find all of the clues for a mystery, and then you would literally do this thing where you would start connecting those clues to come up with like conclusions. And so theoretically, you would do that, and then Sherlock Holmes would come up with a conclusion based on all the stuff you connected, and then solve the mystery, quote unquote. The thing is that like the game just took whatever you connected and assumed like was like, okay, this is what you connected, so this was the deduction that Sherlock Holmes made. We're not really going to tell you if that's the right answer. We're just going to tell you that's the answer that comes out of the deduction you made.
Yeah.
And they kind of brought that over to this, but in a simpler form in that only two things can ever connect. So eventually you can kind of brute force your way through it, which doesn't work as well as
Yeah.
they thought it would. It's because eventually you get like as you're going through the main case, you've got a page that's just building up with a bunch of different like clues and leads, and then it's like, okay, now sit here for 5 minutes and just start like connecting dots.
Huh.
And I mean, if you connect two dots
Interesting.
that don't connect, it tells you straight up that there's no conclusion to draw from that.
Yeah.
So it's like eventually you just kind of sit there. It's like, well, okay, those two didn't work. What if I connect these two? Oh, there it is. There's my conclusion.
Yeah.
And then it gives you the next lead for
I
the
mean, that's cool.
mystery.
That's
It's
cool.
cool. It's cool. And I mean, like, it feels nice to do that in one shot versus like you sit there
Yeah.
like a couple of times and be like,
Yeah.
oh, why
Yeah.
don't these two? I really thought these two things would connect.
Mhm.
But like, it's also like if I get tired enough of it, I could sit there for 10 minutes and just connect one, two, three, four. Up there's the answer. Moving on.
Yeah.
So as long as like the connections make sense, that sort of thing shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
It's only when you hit that sort of like old school style adventure game scenario where it's like, oh, you were supposed to take the spoon and snap it in half and use it as a key. It was like, okay, why would I ever think of doing that?
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's when it's going to become a problem. But that hasn't happened yet
Well,
because I
that's
just
good.
started the game.
That's
So
good.
let's see what
Well, hopefully
happens.
it doesn't.
But yeah, so but Sea of Solitude definitely everybody should check out. I
Yeah.
think it deserves that shot. Again, it's only $20, so why not? But Sinking City, on the other side of that, is like a
Mhm.
full $60 game, and is
Yeah.
also kind of janky as hell in some places. It just
Yeah.
is what it is. I mean, I mean, Frogware makes popular Sherlock Holmes games, but I'm sure they don't have like a ton of money, so I don't want to like judge them on that. But it's just so funny to be like, one of the things is you can't jump in the game, but you can climb with the triangle button to like climb over boxes and walls and stuff. And sometimes it just feels like it's guessing when you can and can't climb over the wall. So
Well, it's like rhyme kinda, where you don't. There's no real like combat, and there's no real jump. You kind of just walk and move and whatnot. And some parts of the game you can jump, but it's a very much a guessing game. It's like, are you gonna let me jump here? Oh no, cool. Okay, you gonna let me climb here? No, cool. Like, so I
I guess
get
I just
that.
don't need to climb up there because you won't let me do it. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, it looks
Um,
like I need to get up there, but you're telling me I can't. What do you want me to do? Oh
but
man,
the other thing I did this week was I saw Aladdin.
you did.
Finally, 4 weeks later,
I did too.
yeah, at different theaters on the same day.
At like very similar times.
Yes, because like Saturday morning, I got up. I was like, oh, I have to do some stuff. I should go see Aladdin as a reward because no one will go to Aladdin. and I'll be over in Warwick anyway. Why don't I
Yeah.
do that? And then I was like, but then like figuring out my schedules and stuff took me a little bit longer than I thought. I was getting closer and closer to needing to go to work, and I was like, oh, I think it's like a 3 hour movie or something, like 2.5 or something. Turns out that most of that was just like all of the previews and stuff that were
Yeah.
playing when it originally started.
Mhm.
So when I saw it, there was like two previews, and then the movie was great.
Yeah.
The movie starts, and then like 2 hours later, I'm out.
Mhm.
So it was fine. But I was like sitting there like trying to time it the whole day. I was like, do I have enough time to do this? Do I want to spend the money? What do I do? And eventually, like you and Devin are messaging like, this is what we're doing. We're going to Connecticut. We're going to see it. I was like, fuck it. I'm going to see this movie. I deserve it. Treat
Yes.
yourself with Aladdin.
Yes. Treat yourself. Oh man, I really really enjoyed it. It was so much fun. I am admitting to you right now, as soon as Arabian Nights started, I started crying for like no reason,
It
just from like happiness.
I got goosebumps.
Yeah.
I did get goosebumps because I was like, oh, because the thing that happened was Arabian Nights started,
Mhm.
and my number one fear for that movie was always not Will Smith's acting, it was his
Is
singing.
singing?
Will Smith is a rapper,
Yeah.
and Will Smith is an actor, and he's good at both of those.
Yeah.
I have never heard Will Smith sing,
Mhm.
and that was always the thing that worried me. And Arabian Nights started, and I went, yeah, this works. No, this is
Yeah.
good.
No.
And it started, and I was like, oh, good. Then Guy Ritchie came up on the screen, and I was like,
Right?
fuck, I forgot.
I didn't know, and neither did Devin. Both of us, like, we were just like, wait, what? Yeah, no. Crazy. But yeah,
That's also the first Guy Ritchie film I've seen in a theater in a very long
Oh,
time.
really?
Now is when Zach admits to more movies he hasn't seen. I haven't seen either Sherlock Holmes movie that he made, nor
Really?
have I seen King Arthur. So I have not seen a Guy Ritchie film in theaters in a very long time. I don't think I've ever seen a Guy Ritchie film in theaters, actually, because Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels and Snatch I saw on DVD much later than they came out. So,
Huh.
so this might be the first time I've actually sat down in the theater and
Interesting.
watched a Guy Ritchie film.
Jeez, wow. Yeah, no, it was, and it's so it's one of those moments too where like I don't think people get it, but like Devin and I are two emotional human beings, right? We cry at shit, okay? We cry at shit for sometimes no reason. It just hits us in some way that it makes us cry. And that happened with Aladdin. It's like we've also cried at just like good filmmaking. And I don't know, I can't speak for Devin, but like for me, it was this moment of like, oh my god. I remember I always forget how much I love Aladdin. Like I mean I've never read, you know, I
The
never
original
I
story.
never read the original
I
story.
have one of
I
those like
never
really nice Barnes and Noble like faux leather bound versions of
mm,
Arabian Nights, and
yeah.
I was like going through it story by story. I never got to Aladdin.
Yeah. No, and it's one of them. It's again, there are millions of books in this world that I want to read, and it is one of them. But it's just like I loved the Disney movie growing up, and I loved the character and all of that, and I'm like, this is cool. So it was like that moment of, oh my god, I get to watch this story that I love unfold in front of me, and that's great. And then, but it's also just that moment of listening to it, realizing that it is just a story being told, and like weaving through the market and the bazaar and everything, and it just like I got really emotional for some reason. And then I can hear Devin sniffling. And I'm like, if people ever questioned if we were siblings, they don't need to. Because no doubt in my mind, he is also emotional for similar things right now. He is emotional because of the just the film work that is being put into this, the weaving through, it was just beautiful. It was a beautiful moment. And then wow, my voice just cracked. There was another moment during it where Prince Ali, I started crying. And I was like,
I
again,
liked I liked that scene way more than I thought I would.
yeah, right?
Because that's the moment that especially because that's the one. I mean, it's the biggest that and Friend Like Me, which unsurprising that both of these are in the trailer.
Mm.
Those are the biggest song moments, like
Yes.
that have like the biggest
Yes.
choreography and stuff. So if you want to show off the movie, that's what's going to be in there.
Hmm.
And Prince Ali is the one that looks the most Bollywood,
Yeah.
for lack of a better phrasing. And I know that that's one of the things that concerned people,
Oh yeah.
because India is very distinct from the rest of the Middle East for many reasons, both
Yes.
like cultural and otherwise. And so like the idea that they would be incorporating like
Bollywood.
Indian
Yeah.
Bollywood stuff in there starts to worry people, because it's like, okay, there's a like
There's a
when you're talking about
distinction, guys.
Arabia, there's
Yeah.
a very big distinction. But when you take it in the context of Prince Ali coming from somewhere else, and it is in fact supposed to be an out of place thing,
Yep.
it
Exactly.
works 1,000 times better in the context of that actual scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
What doesn't hold up in that scene, speaking of Prince Ali, though,
Is it?
is
Is it?
when he's dressed as the woman going through, and
Okay.
they have the reveal. Here's why it doesn't work, and I'm gonna bring up Breath of the Wild, weirdly enough, because this came up in that. I
Okay.
don't know if you ever. I don't think you ever got this far into the
No,
Breath of
but
the Wild.
I know what you're talking
Um,
about.
so
I know
in
what
Breath of the
you're.
Wild,
Yeah.
there is the Gerudo village where only women are allowed in,
Yep.
and so Link has to dress as a woman to get in. But the way that he gets the outfit to dress as a woman to get in is he's talking to someone who, a man who has supposedly been able to sneak in and out, and it turns out he's been able to do that by dressing as a woman. And the end of that quest line is a very quick, very poor joke about he's met the person dressed as a woman, and her face mask, her face veil, comes off, and it's revealed that she has a beard. And Link looks shocked at it, and you're supposed to kind of laugh at that, and that's transphobic in its own ways, and all of
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So in Prince Ali, again, this is one of the things that is pulled from the original animated feature,
Hmm.
is that the genie changes form all the time, but for some reason can never remove his beard. Just
Yeah.
sure.
It's
It's just
always
a
there.
thing.
Yeah.
It's just a thing where whatever he turns into always has the beard.
Hmm.
And so when he is dressed as a woman during that song, he is going through with the veil on. And again, at the very end, the veil comes off and he's got the beard, and he makes some sort of face and covers it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a similar joke. That's the only thing in that whole scene that I was like, ooh, that did not hold up after all of these years. I'm not surprised that that is in there, like especially just the scene in general that he
Mm.
is dressed as a woman and going through, because I'm not surprised that they brought that over. But like, I liked this movie a lot. I also think that if I'm going to say I like this movie a lot, I should bring up some of the stuff that didn't quite work. So
Oh.
that was the only thing in there that did not work. That I should say that hit me weird. I mean, there's other stuff that didn't work in various ways, but if we're going to
Uh-huh.
talk about stuff like anything that not even if anything's going to be borderline offensive, quote unquote, that was the scene. Everything else in that movie is what it is, but that
Yeah.
was the scene that was like, oh, maybe we didn't have to carry this over from the original in some way.
Well,
Uh,
no, no, and you're not wrong. Like you're it felt a little weird, but again, it is, like you said, it is carried from the original. It's and it is that maybe they didn't think far enough and like realize what that scene could mean and how it could be taken. But yeah, you're not wrong. It did feel a little weird. For me, what feels weird in Prince Ali, and again, I loved this movie, but again, it hit my ear kind of weird.
uh-huh.
Was where it's the original verse or lyric is heard your princess was a sight lovely to see, and they changed it to heard your princess was hot. Where is she? And that hit my ear wrong, because I'm like, that's a weird
Yes,
change.
it did. You're right,
And
because that hit me too. But here's the thing: isn't that also the moment where Jasmine rolls her eyes and walks away?
yes, yes.
Okay,
So
so
like
so I
there
think
is
what happened was that hit me weird, and then that happened, and I went,
yes,
okay, well, okay.
yeah. At least she is like, oh fuck
She's
you then.
acknowledging
Yeah.
that. Yes.
Which that was really cool too. To give, I mean, I, I don't. As much as I love the original movie, there are parts that I don't remember wholly about, but I feel like Jasmine is so much more important in this movie.
Oh no, they gave her. I mean, that's a big reason why
And
this movie is 2 hours and 10 minutes and
yeah,
not just 90 minutes again, is because they didn't really take a lot out of the original one, but they
yeah.
added in a lot to give
Well,
Jasmine
yeah.
more agency in what she's doing.
And
They also added to Jafar's story, which we'll get to in a minute.
yeah,
But
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
Jasmine definitely gets so much more
Mhm.
characterization of like she deserves to be
Yeah.
running Agrabah. This
Mhm.
is not just a matter of like
Exactly.
she should be married off. Like that's just something that the original Aladdin never actually even thought about was like, oh,
Mhm.
if you actually think about it in this weird whole lying marriage setup that Aladdin has set up, he
Mhm.
also sets himself up to be Sultan.
Yeah.
If you really think about it.
Yeah. Which I
And so
don't,
this
and
movie like
it
goes
doesn't.
out of its and it just never says
It,
it.
that it
But I
never
think it
and it never happens in the original. And then I asked Devin at the end. I was like, "Does she become Sultan in the original?" And he mentioned in the third one, like they get married in the third one because someone needs to be Sultan, but I don't think it's ever explicitly said who. But no. And Jasmine is always one of the princesses who I've always just in my head thought was a badass. And then they made her even more of a badass in the live action, which I appreciated.
and
And
she's
and
a, I,
it's just like the fact that we get more time with her at when she's in disguise in the bazaar. The fact that
she's
she
in
is there.
Street Rat, that she's
Yes.
with him during the
Yeah,
Street Rat
she is.
sequence is
She is
so
during the street
good.
rat. There for one jump ahead. Like it's incredible, and it made me so happy.
That is also, by the way, of all of the scenes in this movie, that is like the Guy Ritchie moment
Oh
where
yeah.
they were like so much of this movie relies on these kind of steady shots of large shots of people dancing and stuff. But they were like, but if you want to do your whole people running through a crowded street in like sped up shots
Yep.
and these like weird transitions, you know what? Street Rat's the time to do
Oh
that.
yeah.
Get it out of your system up front
Yeah.
because that's the one song where you can kind of have some fun and
Hmm.
then everything else has to do.
And
It's
it
like
looked so good. Like it looks. I love
it's like a,
that shit.
it's like a weird Guy Ritchie music video
Yeah.
for Street Rat at
Yeah.
the beginning of
Oh,
this
it's so good.
movie.
And then it happens again at the end, at the very end, the like music for the
Okay,
credits. And it is sped up again. And I'm like, this looks so cool. Like I want this to happen more, but I feel like people think it is such a gimmick that that's why it doesn't happen. But like if it's done well, which it is,
here's the problem.
like
It became a gimmick because people decided they were going to copy Guy Ritchie
yeah,
after watching Snatch and Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking
yeah,
Barrels in college. That's the
true,
problem. Guy Ritchie's the one that started this
true,
gimmick in
yeah.
a lot of ways.
But it's just so good. It looks so cool. And like especially for something like Aladdin, it makes it look that much more fantastical. Like it makes me believe, yeah, there's magic in this world because look how fast these fucking people are moving. Yeah, no, but yeah. I loved it. It was
Like
a lot of fun.
yeah, and like going back to like giving Jasmine and her mother, who's never mentioned in
Mhm.
the original one, is
Mhm.
like, oh, by the way,
More
your mother passed.
backstory.
Like her mother passed away, but she was from a neighboring city that Jafar has like decided he wants to
Wants to
fucking
destroy.
destroy.
Yeah.
Like giving Jafar a backstory. We also need to talk about Supergirl at some point
We
because here's
do.
the
I also finished Abby's. I
I
need
haven't
to.
finished Abby's yet. I think I still get 2 episodes left.
Okay, good.
So here's the thing, a little bit into Supergirl season 4 because this is, I think, tied to Jafar a little bit. So we had talked about here and there throughout season 4 of Supergirl that Ben Lockwood as Agent Liberty, there are times where he becomes a little too sympathetic, that you
Yeah.
are concerned sometimes what you're supposed to feel about
Mhm.
him. I
Yeah.
think ultimately by the end of, oh my God, we're going to talk about Supergirl season 4 because I think that season purposely starts in a different place than where it ends in a very good way.
Oh, yeah.
But I think what happened with Ben Lockwood is a thing that didn't happen with Jafar, but they treaded close to it, which is that sometimes you can, in trying to humanize and give more backstory to your villain, you accidentally make them more sympathetic and likable.
Yep.
And instead, with Jafar, it only, I mean, you get more backstory to him, but he's still a bad
But
guy.
you still hate
So
him.
like
Like you still.
he came up as a thief,
Mhm.
he built his way up, and then you realize that like and then it becomes very clear that like what he really wants is ultimate cosmic power. Like
Yeah.
there's not a sympathetic reason for why he
Mhm.
wants to be anything more other than he grew up with nothing and now he wants other people to pay.
Yeah.
But like just knowing that about him and it like it calls back to it when he takes him in the desert and
Oh,
steals her brooch and steals her hair
her
piece out of his
hairpiece.
pocket,
Oh,
and
let's
then
talk
later
about.
steals the lamp from him.
Yes,
So
yes.
you know that, but you know that he can do that because he's already stolen from him
Mhm,
already in the movie.
mhm. Yeah,
Like, oh my God,
that
setting
scene.
that up.
That scene was incredible, where they were in like it was there were like those drapes
Yeah,
and yeah,
they're just like
that
going through that
was
alleyway, and it's
incredible.
just like just very quick, these very quick cuts of him
Oh,
flowing through, and you know exactly what's going to happen, and
yep.
it works.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
I just, oh my God, I could not believe how well like they just rounded out the two characters that needed the most rounding out in this
Yeah,
movie, and
yeah,
it made it so good.
yeah, yeah. And
And
it.
just like cast in general was excellent. Like they Aladdin and Jasmine sound like animated Aladdin and Jasmine. I don't know if they did anything to their singing voices or what, but even when they're speaking, they sound so much
Mm,
like those
yeah,
characters.
yeah. And it was just I don't know. And I love Naomi Scott. I mean I saw her. She was in Terra Nova, which often forget about, but now we'll never forget. But she's also Pink Ranger. She's Kimberly in Power Rangers,
Oh,
and
is that where
like
she, that's why I
yeah,
recognized her.
and like so I love her, and it was just so much fun to watch her like in this role and like be the badass that I have seen her be, and it's just like yeah, okay, all
She
right,
is
you
also
came
in
to
New
play.
She's also in New Charlie's Angels, isn't she?
Yes,
Is
yes,
she
she
right? She's
is.
the one that gets brought in as the new. She's the one
Yup,
that she's the scientist that they bring in,
yep,
right?
yep.
So good for her.
Yeah, no, I'm very
Yeah,
excited to see
like
more stuff with
I
her.
love that she gets a new song. It does sound like
Oh,
it's very obvious that it's a modern song stuck into the rest of that.
yes.
That's not on her or
It's
the
so
song. I mean,
good
or
though.
like that's just the songwriter, but it's still good.
It's
It's also
so
such a good
good.
moment. The second I kind of realized what was happening
Mm.
with this when she gets that like full moment to sing speechless, and I was like,
Oh,
oh, okay, I
oh,
see what's
the
going on.
moment where she's like in her head and people are fucking dusting in the wind.
Yes, when she becomes
Incredible.
Thanos for a few minutes, yes,
Yeah,
when
where
she
she
just starts
becomes
wiping
Thanos.
people off the map.
It I again should come as no surprise bawling during
And I was
that
like, what is
scene.
she? I was like, what is she gonna do here? And the fact that like
Yeah.
the response is because they build Jasmine up as a much more intellectual character. I mean, she was always like an outspoken, smart
Mm.
woman in the original, but
She's
again,
always been a
it
badass in my
hasn't
eyes.
been given right because
Always.
she was knew what she was talking about
Yes.
and spoke her mind.
Yeah.
But in this, it's like, okay, you know that she's reading books all the time. You
Mhm.
know that she has memorized maps because she's not allowed to leave
Mhm.
because there's that entire scene where he's trying to get him to put a Baba
Yeah,
on the
on the
map.
map.
Um,
Um
so the fact that like her huge moment comes to she's just gonna get in their faces and like just straight up like a queen,
oh
like a
yeah.
sultan,
Like a
be like,
sultan.
hey, you know what's right here.
Yeah.
You need to stand up and do the right
Yeah,
thing.
no. It was incredible. And like it is one of those scenes where I 100% thought that I thought that this movie was like almost going to end with Aladdin and Jasmine not getting together, at least not on screen. Like I did not there's that moment made me feel like all right, the end of this movie is Jasmine's going to become sultan and
And Aladdin, like Mad Max and Fury Road, is just going to go off into the night
yeah,
and
or
do his own
something like that. And they'll find each other. There's no doubt in my mind that they will get together, but I don't need to see it on screen. Like I am okay just knowing that in my head. And that was the scene because it is she 100% like she shouldn't have to prove, but it sucks that in the society of Agrabah, right? Agrabah? Yeah.
Yes.
It she does have to prove like her
It's not even that
worth
she has
and
to
like
prove. Genie straight up pulls the fucking Agrabah Constitution out of his
well
pocket
no,
and
it's
scrolls through and is like, there it
yeah.
is, right there.
Yeah.
Woman can't be sullied. I can remove that
Yeah.
from the
I
I can
can
remove
well
that
no.
from the whole
No,
thing.
it's woman princess needs to marry a prince. It
Right.
has nothing to do with sultan. So like it's
Oh, you're right, because
yeah.
all it is that her father at some point is like,
Mhm.
it just hasn't happened in 1,000
Yeah,
years. There's
it's
nothing else
never
stopping
happened.
that.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a law. It's nothing. It's just like it's that moment where she is like, no. I can fucking do this, and it is time for me to do this because I don't need anybody else. Doesn't matter how much I love this guy.
They
I
they
don't need him.
they make it very clear that her being Sultan is not at all tied
To
to
Aladdin.
her
Yeah,
marriage,
or
or
her
her marriage
marriage,
to
or
Aladdin.
anything.
It's tied to her marriage at the beginning of the film, in that whoever she marries is going to be Sultan.
Yes.
But they make it very clear at some point that there is a distinction between her love for Aladdin and wanting to be with him
Mm-hmm.
is a separate thing from her ability and deserving to be
Be
Sultan.
Sultan. Yeah. Yeah, no. That, I've
Uh,
listened to Speechless like 3 times after that fact, and it's just like that sequence is just incredible. And I thought her running through and like ripping down the tapestry, and then the image of her in front of the throne, like literally chills. It gave me chills. And I was just like so out of like breath and all of that. I'm like, I am breathless right now. This is beautiful and incredible, and I wish there was more of this in the Marvel movie.
yeah, yeah. No, you're not wrong.
I mean, I wish there was more than just one movie that made me feel like this.
Yeah.
No, it was awesome. It was so good.
And Will Smith did great. I think that there are scenes that are very clearly like, again, brought over from the original, and in those scenes I think he is a little more reserved because he's like, I mean, I'm sure, I mean, I wouldn't want to fucking fill Robin Williams' shoes in any scene, even if I was just repeating what he was doing. But I think all of the added scenes with him,
Mm.
where he gets to just do whatever he wants, like the fucking jam, the fucking like we're
The
gonna come in,
jam scene was so good.
what, like, because it's just Will Smith gets the fucking riff with
Mhm.
him,
Yeah.
like that's so good, and like all of the stuff with the handmaiden is great.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was a great addition too. But yeah, I've never
But
been
but
more
like I think that
embarrassed. I've never been more embarrassed
in
in my life
10,000
in
years,
10,000
I've not
years.
seen-
Um,
Also, just like when they go to the party, he's like, "I know that I'm like supposed to be your servant as your genie, and
yeah.
I'm like your servant in this ruse, but also we're at a party, so take your awkward ass over there. I'm gonna go over here.
Like I like to party. You're not ruining this for me.
We're not ruining this for me."
No, I think that he did a really good job of like I think he did a good job distancing himself from the Robin Williams genie. I really
I think
do.
yeah, I do think that like
And
the one thing that always gets me that I think about is whenever the whatever scene where he's not when he's all of the waiters, but there's like one scene where he like does the spin and he does like 1 2 whatever where he's like dressed as like a bellhop or a genie or
Mhm.
a genie or like a waiter, and he's
Yeah.
got like one head and then two and then something else, and that is definitely pulled from the
Oh
original.
yeah.
And like that is the thing, like that sort of thing is the thing that makes me go, okay, so you just brought this over and he's just like repeating the lines and he's doing a good job of it, but like what it really does is really makes me miss Robin Williams. But like I've
See,
been
that's
looking
so
more and
weird.
more at these remakes, and I've been looking more and more at these like ultimately Disney is doing this because one, they know they'll make $1 billion each movie,
Yeah.
and two, because they're trying to extend copyright on characters that should not be copywritten for any number of reasons. They
Yeah.
were fucking public domain before they even made them their own characters, let alone however many years later. Like that's what Disney is actually doing with these. That's why they're making these movies. They're putting the effort into it because they're Disney and they have a reputation to uphold, but that's why they're doing it. But I've been trying. We're not stopping that from happening anytime soon.
No.
So ride the wave. So I've been looking more and more at these like remakes in these retellings and these editions and all of that as like when a play gets like a new production,
Mm.
and like here in Providence there is the I almost said Nightmare Before Christmas. Fucking hell.
Oh,
Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol.
Trinity
Christmas
Rep does
Story.
Christmas Carol. Trinity Rep does Christmas Carol every year as like
Mhm.
a Rhode Island tradition.
Yep.
And so, because it's a tradition and every year they're doing the same play, they change it up once in a while. There was a year where they straight up put a fucking giant pool on the stage and flooded it and did the entire play on a bridge over that pool. Like, they'll do wild
I
shit.
did not know that. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
they'll do wild shit. And so like I try to look at these retellings now and be like, okay, so what they're doing, they're just retelling these stories, they're adding stuff that needs to be added, they're fixing the representation problems that Disney fucking
Yep.
created in the first place by by these actors. And then like, and even then they're not doing it perfectly because there's all these conversations around just keeping it at Aladdin. In the original Arabian story, Aladdin is Chinese. Like in the original story, he's like a Chinese thief in Arabia or whatever. And so like the fact that he still wasn't Chinese American actor in this is like a whole thing for some people. And it's like, okay, so they're still not getting it perfect, but they're doing a hell of a lot better than they did before.
Yeah.
The fuck new Mulan trailer dropped, and I'm sure you haven't watched
I
it because
have
you watch
not.
stuff in trailers. Like it's a teaser. You don't get
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
But
I've seen bits.
I know that I'm still waiting for the shoe to drop because I've heard some weird shit about what they're doing with that story. But
Yeah.
what they showed was a fucking badass, like, action drama. And it's just Mulan being a fucking badass. And of course, people were like, but where's Mushu? It's like, fuck
Shut
you.
up!
Look at this
That's not what
fucking
it's
warrior
about.
woman. Look at
Oh
this,
my god.
such a badass
Oh my
warrior
god.
woman in this trailer. So,
Ridiculous.
like,
People
they're
are
fixing some of
ridiculous.
that shit. So
Yeah.
I'm all for that.
Yeah.
I'm all for Halle Bailey being Ariel at this
Yes.
point.
Yeah.
Like
Of course.
so
There's
like
no reason why not. Like.
right. So like if they're going to do what they're doing and they're going to like be hiring more diverse
Mhm.
actors to do this, sure. Let them do it. But and every time I watch this it's like okay, so it's like, different colleges, different theater troupes, different
Yeah.
groups do different versions of stories all the
Yeah.
time and different actors come in and bring their shit in.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. I want
So
to see what you bring to the
I
table.
mean, honestly, so far of the live action remakes, the only one that has not worked for me and that I don't think I would ever watch again is Beauty and the Beast.
And I've caught bits and pieces of it, so I want to watch it mostly because I have my own theories on the
Yeah.
aesthetics of that
Yep.
movie. But that's not because I mean, it is like, especially now I did Beauty and the Beast as one of the high school plays I worked on,
Yeah.
so I also have
I mean, I
for the
love
same
that
reason I don't ever
story.
want to watch Grease again
Yeah.
anytime soon. I probably wouldn't sit down and subject myself to Beauty and the Beast for a while, 15 years later. But but like I will sit down and watch Beauty and the Beast. I've got no problem with it, but I think of all of them, Beauty and the Beast is the one that like they just straight up shot for shot kind of
Kind of. Yeah,
remade.
but they add shit to it that just like I am like I've said, I think I said this last week and I will always say this. I am all about malleability. Like I think comic book characters are made to be malleable, just like I feel like fairy tale characters are malleable because that's just what they are. They're fairy tales. Like you can
Specifically
it
coming
doesn't
out of oral
it,
traditions that are made to
exactly.
be different every time you tell them.
Exactly. Like it's
Like,
okay to change shit. There is something that they do in Beauty and the Beast which like is cool, but it's literally just thrown in
is
with
that their
like
exclusively gay moment, as they
no,
called it?
no, no, no,
Oh,
no, 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 no,
damn.
no,
The fact that
no,
that isn't even the thing you're talking about
no,
is kind of funny.
no, 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 no. Well, I could talk about that in other. I think we've had this
I know
conversation.
we have. I just
Yeah,
love every time that comes up to use the terms exclusively gay moment because it means
ridiculous.
fucking nothing.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. I mean, yeah, I could. Don't even get me
Anyway.
started. Anyways,
Anyway.
but it's like there's this thing. Because you haven't seen it, I don't want to like ruin it for you.
Is it on Netflix? I'll watch it tonight.
I don't
got no
know. I don't know if it is, but it's literally like it comes out of nowhere, and it's just like that would have been
Belle
cool.
stands up and goes, also, I don't have Stockholm
No,
syndrome. Uh,
no, like I'm like that would have been a cool thing to add if I had more time with it. If you introduced it in the beginning of the story, not like 20 minutes, 20 to 35 minutes in, and like not even like an hour. We're like an hour into the movie and this thing just gets dropped on you literally just to like make you feel something. Like it's like, oh, we're gonna just give you some like feelings towards Belle and like make you feel bad for her. and you know, understand where she's coming from even more. And it's like, yeah, I don't
She was
know.
already kind of
She,
like a well-read, intelligent woman
yeah,
who was
like,
doing stuff for her dad. I don't think I needed a lot more to like care about Belle.
yeah.
Belle was never my problem with the Beauty and the Beast story.
Well, because it does it bring this is I mean it's kind of a spoiler. But whatever. It brings up stuff about her mother, and
I
it's
think
just like
I heard about that. I can't
you
remember.
might have. I'm sure it had gotten brought up, but it's just like that would have been nice to have like earlier, and then you revisit it. But yeah, I don't know. It's so
But
far
anyway,
it's the only one that hasn't worked for me.
yeah,
Yeah.
and like so that also makes me excited. Like I want to see the new Lion King as much as
Mhm.
I am one of those people. I know Sejin Sejin has I think somewhat valid criticisms of those of us who were like, "Oh, all the lions look the same." Like, yeah, it's I guess that you're right, Sejin. That does sound a little weird when we're talking about a cast mainly made up of black actors. Now that you say that out loud, and I didn't think about it, I'll admit to that. But like my biggest, and I've mentioned this with video games before too. The more and more that we go into this like photorealistic style of things, the harder it is for style
Mhm.
to exist within that photorealism because they're so focused on getting the photorealistic animations right that the cinematic techniques that we bring to live action film have not followed as often. But I think a movie like Aladdin changes that.
Mm.
I think I mean, Guy Ritchie definitely brought a style to this movie and made it work in a lot of ways. And I think um, in like, I like Jungle Book. I also just rewatched it. I'm like, this is, to be fair,
Yeah.
half watching
Thank
on
you.
Freeform at work the other day.
Thank you for that because I also did.
Um, but like, even that is a movie that like, I like that movie. I also think that like, even the scene of Christopher Walken singing "I Want to Be Like You" is a little bit of a stale scene from what I would have liked compared to the original animated version of that
Yeah.
scene when King Louis is not 8 feet tall. I get what they were going with for it. It's cool
He's
for
the
what it is,
king.
but like, did I say? Wait, what did I say?
No, I'm just saying he's the
Oh, okay.
king. I'm just
He is the king, but he's can't dance when you're 8 feet tall and taking up the entire room. Um,
Oh man.
so like so like the thing that and I think I've mentioned this before, at least on Discord. The scene that I'm really waiting for in the new Lion King is "I Want to Be King"
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
because I
yeah.
can't wait to be king in um in the original animated feature and in the most annoying scene, the most annoying level in the Lion King Super Nintendo game. I think Seaton will agree with me is a very colorful, unrealistic scene. There's
Yeah.
so much shit going on in the background of that. It's all over the place. There's dancing. It's great. And I just want to know what they're going to do with it in a photorealistic setting.
Yeah.
Because if they just go like acid trip buck wild with it, I'll probably love it. I just don't want it. Like, I just like, I think that scene
But you
might
also
look
don't want
boring.
it to go over the top. Like it's
Yes
such a
and no.
dangerous
I mean, that's
scene.
the problem. The problem is that like, yeah, in the style of that movie, it can go over the top very easily.
Yeah.
In an animated feature, you have a lot more wiggle room. And so like that's the thing that I worry about when you get into those sort of things. And
Yeah.
like
No, I get you.
there is a distinction between Scar and Mufasa in the original that is not there in the new one. There's a fucking they do
Wait,
they showed the clip.
but there kind of is.
There kind of is in that the more I see it, the problem is that like I'm also not watching a lot of trailers for this thing
I
because
don't
I
know.
don't want to see it.
The whole thing of people saying that they like all the lions look alike and that there's no real like maybe it's because I'm around animals like most of my day at work, but like you can tell animals apart.
No, here's the
There
thing.
are
Here's
things
the thing.
about
The
them.
choice that they made. So in the original Lion King, you have
Yeah.
Scar has darker fur and darker hair and just distinctly darker color palette versus Mufasa, and he's like thinner and all of that.
But everything I've
In
seen he does
in the
in
in
the
the live
live
action one,
action
he
one.
just looks grayscale compared to Mufasa to me. So
Yeah,
it looks
but
like
he
they just
has the scar over it.
he
Like he
has
has a
he
very
does, but sometimes
distinct.
and again, because I watch this stuff on a computer also doesn't help,
True,
is
true, true,
that
true.
sometimes it's like the grayscale and the movement like when you get photorealistic movement, also I think things get blurrier a lot easier.
Mm.
And so like in all of that movement and all of that, sometimes it's just like my brain is not registering the scar, and I'm just looking at what looks like a gray
Blob.
massive fur.
Yeah,
Yeah, like and so like I'm sure like if I'm sitting down watching the movie, that
you'll
will
be
be
able to. Yeah.
the other problem with that is that a trailer is made up of quick cuts and all this
Oh
other
yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
and they're being so kind of weirdly secretive about this movie in different ways. They're
Mm.
showing so little in everything
Mhm.
that like and like they put out a clip. They did that thing where that scene where like Simba's looking in the water and you get the weird ripple effect, and then he sees Mufasa overlaid of his face. And I think that doesn't work on a photorealistic scale because one, it's too dark, and also like you've got the ripples, you've got the darkness, and then you have two lions that look the same because it's father and son, and it just like does not have like Mufasa's eyes and Simba's eyes animated in the original 2D style are the thing that differentiates them. And so you can see the difference between them when that happens, and you don't see it as easily in like two lions that are just made to look like two lions that are related to each other, I think
Well,
is the thing.
I guess we'll just have to wait
So
and
we'll
see.
see. We'll see. Again, not a thing, not a scene that's made to watch on a computer screen in a basement. It's a thing that's meant to be seen in massive high def and all of that. So that will probably change when I see it. But I
And
think
that's
that's where a
why I
lot of
don't watch trailers.
yeah. The other part to all of this is, I mean, as much as people want to complain about, people have their preferences in their 2D style. Like 2D animation style has just like kind of gone away, which people are missing, and I understand that.
Mm.
And the other part to all of this is that all of the people that made the Lion King movie probably didn't get paid half of what they should have because animators are not unionized the same way that other filmmakers are, and it's just like a shitty structure there. And so it just sucks that like a movie that's entirely based on these people, like this was what happened with Life of Pi. Like Life of Pi won an Oscar for their CGI work, and then the animators get up on stage and were like, "We've all been fired. No one has jobs up here anymore."
Yeah.
And they got played off the stage by the Oscar orchestra. So like I think that's the other part to all of that is that people are lashing out at these movies for other reasons than what they're actually lashing out about,
Yeah.
which is just a whole other story. But
Yeah.
I am probably going to go see Lion King like first weekend.
Oh yeah,
Like, I mean,
definitely.
the other part of that is that like, because again, connecting it to video games, I bought Red Dead Redemption the weekend it came out because the fact is that the people that got shittily worked to the core on that game deserve to have their work seen.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna go see that movie, um, and then I'm gonna go see Mulan. Like, honestly, if Mulan has fucking nothing supernatural in it and it's just a fucking badass action movie
Yeah.
of Mulan goes in and fucking kicks ass, I would love that. That probably won't happen. I'm sure something else will come out about that movie in time,
Oh
but
yeah,
I
definitely.
but the teaser I saw
Had
made
no
me excited
supernatural.
to watch. No,
Yeah.
there's no supernatural stuff. It is just like this is what it means to be a woman in China,
Mhm.
and then super cut against her fucking kicking ass. It's such a good
Kicking
teaser.
ass and taking
It's
names.
it's so good.
Oh
So
my gosh. Yeah.
so yeah.
Well, go see Aladdin, everybody.
Yes, give Aladdin a chance. Give these Disney remakes a chance, even if like I mean, every movie is going to be hit or miss in their own ways. But like, if you
I
like
mean,
a
let's be
story
honest.
this way, if you like a Disney story, go see the remake because they're probably going to do something different about it that's going to make you look at that story and go, oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it, uh, it's a last thing. Peter Pan has been made so many different times.
so much so that they haven't even bothered at Disney at this
Like,
point.
so it happens, guys.
Yeah,
And it's gonna keep happening. Like, however, okay. So I mean, Lion King is the easiest one because I know it was the year I was born. So like 25 years, right? These movies are separated from the year. In 25 more years, we're probably gonna get like futuristic Lion King and futuristic Aladdin. It's gonna happen. These movies are always gonna be remade. It's just the way it's gonna happen.
give me Treasure Planet Aladdin. Give me
Yes.
Treasure Planet Aladdin.
Yes. Start that petition. Start that petition right now. Oh my God, Skype. Oh God, incredible.
Genie is just an alien trapped in an orb. Jasmine is Princess Leia. I cut the whole thing in my head already.
Jesus. Oh man. All right.
I think I was gonna call her for this episode.
What? Yeah, it's definitely
For this episode.
we're gonna call it. I think
Beauty
we've hit it.
Beauty and
I
the Beast
think
is
we've
not on
hit.
Netflix, by the way. I've been
Oh.
trying. I'm sure it's somewhere, but it's not there. It'll be
Yeah.
on Disney Plus, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure it will be. It's gonna be the first one. Yeah. So this is
HBO 3000.
this has been Say Report Jr. Podcast you should be listening to, subscribe to, downloading every single week. I don't know if we repeat that. I just did, so
Changes
screw
every
it.
episode.
Whatever. Yeah. So if you like what you hear, keep listening. You can find us on all your great podcast apps. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on iTunes. YouTube. You just search Say Report Jr. and that's Say Report That's Say Report JR. Period.
I don't think it's a period. I think it's just Say Report JR.
Really? There's no
Yep.
period. Wow. I've been living a lie. Don't spell it out. Just rule of thumb. Don't spell out Junior. You can also find us on Twitter at Say Report Jr. and you can find both of us individually. I am at Dale's Brain.
I am at Zerwisky.
And I think with that is time to get ice cream and or wings.
Did they have ice cream in Agrabah? They must have. I don't remember.
I don't know.
Let's go bring ice cream to Agrabah. Good night, everybody.
Take it away, Liz.
Thank you for listening to The Say Report with your hosts Dale Decker and Zach Sarowik. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report, and you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.